let us talk to Bassil right now about his UFC debut. He's kind enough to join us. Hello, sir. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate you having me, Aaron.
And by the way, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, Basil, but people say Basil too. I mean,
Okay,
I'm cool with
Bassil.
you. But as long as it's not Basil, I get Basil
Bassil, no.
more often.
Now you've got the
Because
double
people
S
don't see
there.
that.
It can't be Bassil.
That's what I said the same thing. I'm like, how many S's are in Basil? I said, and they go, oh, okay.
I do love your nickname as well, the Habibi. My father is from Egypt. My mom is from Lebanon. I believe your family as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Egypt and
Are you
Syria?
first generation then, born outside of
Yeah,
the
first
country?
generation. My father's from
I'm first
Alexandria.
generation born in America.
So
That's
Egypt and
crazy.
Syria?
Yes, Egypt and Syria. My father's from Cairo, but I have family in Alexandria as well, too, actually.
Wow, that is amazing.
That's crazy.
Salam
How old are
alaikum.
you? How old are you right now?
I am 41.
All right, so you got 10 years on me. We're closer. We're still kind of
Fucking
close.
hell, fucking hell. You got to rub that shit in. As I'm talking about Father Time just 2 seconds ago. Jeez Louise. By the way, shout out, sweet t-shirt. I love that. AI, Slam, that's tremendous. Representing Philly.
Yeah, baby.
Yes,
you know how it is.
I remember that
I was
one.
gonna wear this one. But I was gonna figure I'd represent.
No, I like both of them. I like both of them. Could I ask, how would you describe the last 2 weeks in your life? Like 2 weeks ago now, you're not even in the UFC. Now, now here we are 2 weeks later, you got the fight, like you're wearing it well. You have the fight of a lifetime against a super tough prospect, like a rising star, if you will. Everyone's talking about you on Saturday. Have you had a chance to process everything that just happened to you?
Yeah. Finally, I think this week, and even after the fight, maybe I had to spend the night of the fight actually in the ER. So even then, still like not able to enjoy myself. But once I got back to the hotel room before I flew out, I was like able to. I didn't sleep that night. I just stayed up, just kind of like, damn, I really just accomplished my dreams. Other than winning, obviously, I wanted to win, and I'm still kind of burned about that. But other than that, I accomplished my dreams in 1 week, and like, it's crazy. It's crazy because 1 week ago I wasn't. I was thinking about my dreams as an afterthought, and when am I going to get there? When is it going to happen? And then getting the phone call, crying, first time in my life, crying tears of joy, happiness at 31 years old, actually know what that feels like now. And then now just processing it. Yeah, man, it's a dream come true. And I'm so happy to have earned my spot and showed my heart, my grit in the fight. But, I definitely, I'm not happy with the result. I'm not even that satisfied with how I performed in the cage. I feel like I just showed my heart and my grit, but I really, 4 days notice, it's hard to really come out with a good game plan and look clean with my takedown attempts and look clean with my striking. But, I'm excited to even make another step higher than that in my next fight.
So where were you when you got the call?
Man, Monday night I was in strength conditioning and my phone just blew up and I was at training, not looking at my phone, finished the session, went to check my phone and it's like, you have 3 missed calls from Jason House, from my manager, and then also from my other manager, Jeremy, from Iridium too. And I was like, oh shit. I called Jason back and he's like, yeah, you're in.
Wow.
Right away. I was just like, oh shit, wait, what? I'm in the UFC? He's like, you're in the UFC. And I just like, shocked right there, just like taken back and happy and everything. It's too many emotions in one sentence to describe.
And how much are you weighing at that point?
Whew, man, so I didn't check my weight. I honestly thought that it was off. I wasn't getting JDM. I said yes from 290. Like I was ready to fight him at 290. Like I thought we would have been a great show on the pay-per-view, and I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So I was that, and then they picked Josiah Harrell. Whatever happened with his medicals and everything was a shame, obviously, but he still gets another opportunity, which is good, I think. And so that happened, and then I didn't really hear anything still, and I was like, all right, maybe it's not going to happen. I'm next up. I know I'm right there, but maybe it's not going to happen this time. So I was kind of just, treating it like normal, go back to training, try and watch my weight. And then when I got the call, I started water loading right away. And then I didn't check my weight. So I was like 199, I think, that night.
Wow. 199. And when you fly out to Vegas, Tuesday, the next day?
I flew out Tuesday at night. Yeah, Tuesday afternoon.
Damn. So like less than 24 hours later.
Yeah, right away. Packed my bag, got one of my good friends to watch my dog, like just got everything set up and then was ready to go. I don't have much going on in my life. My dog, my training, that's it.
That's all.
So I was kind of ready to go, I'd say, at this point.
Was a part of you like, okay, this is great, but man, I wish my UFC debut wasn't coming on 5 days notice? Like, were you lamenting that fact? How how was your confidence going into all this?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to perform your best, right? On 5 days. I was like 4.5 days at that point, technically at night, Monday. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the greatest opportunity, but it's an opportunity still to accomplish my dreams. And like, regardless, like, okay, it's not going to be the way I want it right this time. And it's not going to be how I want it, but I'm not going to say no. I'm still going to say, like, I'm still going to go in there. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. And I'm going to go in there with that kind of grateful mentality and be ready to put on a war. And so to me, like, yeah, I would love more time. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that's good at making weight in 4 days. Some guys can do that. I got a lot of muscle on me. And so I got a plan for that. And, weight cut affects the fight camp affects the fight. People saying he had a double weight cut and all that. I mean, that affects you, but if you're healthy, it's not really that much of a problem. And in reality, he had a full fight camp for a guy similar style that Sean Brady. And so me, I didn't have a fight camp. I wasn't in fight camp. I was in keep myself as ready as I can be, in case the call happens. It could happen right now. It could happen 2 months from now. And who knows when it was going to happen. So that's how I was preparing. And, I made weight. I showed that I have heart and I have grit, but yeah, I would definitely like more time than 4 days.
By the way, how was the weight cut for you?
Horrible.
Horrible?
One of the worst weight cuts in my career, for sure. Like,
how bad did it get?
I mean, I don't want. It's going to be diaries of weight cuts right here. Man, it was pretty bad. I couldn't really at one point help myself up. I had to have my team help me up to get myself walking. Contemplating pissing on myself, even, like that point where you have to pee so bad you can't go walk to the bathroom. You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna go here. But then you think about it, you're like, that's kind of stupid. I'm not gonna piss myself at 31. But yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I got pretty down there. And like in reality, I would have been on weight first try if I was allowed to piss. But the thing is, I kind of came in a little late. Time was rushed. I didn't think about it because I was just so out of it when I came in. So I went in, weighed, and then realized I was 171.5. Around that, and then I just went and saw a doctor, peed instantly, and then I was on weight, and then went and reweighed myself.
Okay, and that was one of the toughest, if not the toughest, of your career.
That was the toughest weight cut. I didn't say anything about it, but I'll talk about it here. As I ended up in the ER actually the night of the fight, thinking I was going to get make sure I didn't have a concussion or any brain injuries, which I was perfectly fine there. But they said they found air in my chest, behind my heart. And around my lungs and my esophagus, air where it's not supposed to be, basically. And they had to keep me overnight, basically to make sure I wouldn't have a heart attack and die overnight. Because if the pressure gets bad, if the pressure gets bad, then it would be pushing into my arteries, and then I could just have a stroke or a heart attack like that. I was trying to be on Monday with you, but I was everything got delayed because I was
I get
it. The night before.
I get it. So what? What did they find out?
So I think it's from the weight cut. I think it was from the weight cut. The doctor never really heard of it. He said it was from the fight, but I'm to be honest, look, Jack hits hard. He's a G, and people are gonna sit there and say, "Oh, this guy's debutant came in and made him look bad." I'm a savage too, man, and I'm gonna show you guys that throughout my career. Let JDM fight Sean Brady, and you see what happens in that fight. To be honest, and you'll see how good of a fighter I am on 4 days' notice to go out there and do that. But I had toughest weight cut of my life. Put myself in the hospital with it, and I'm good now. No concussion, nothing. But I did a couple procedures to make sure I wouldn't have any issues and everything. But they said it was doctor thought it was from the fight. I mean, his body shots didn't really hurt me. I'm not gonna lie. My body feels great. If I were to everything else is fine, and they were like, "Yo, we're doing body conditioning and Muay Thai today," I'm like, golden. Let's go. I feel perfectly fine, other than obviously the weight cut after effects.
Yeah,
are kind of still lightly lingering. But I mean, I'll be back to training next week, probably 100%. I would say.
Will you get this checked out the next time, before the next time you fight, so you make sure that everything is okay with your lungs?
Yeah, no, I got to get it. I think they want me to get a chest X-ray to make sure everything is good, and CAT scan to make sure everything's good. I mean, so I think it's from the weight cut because I've experienced something similar before where I had a drastic weight cut a long time ago, and first time as you get older as a fighter, you start to figure out what weight cuts you can't do and what you can do, and you have bad weight cuts sometimes. And so I had bad weight cuts before, and I felt similar. And from what I get, the vibe I got is the doctor's telling me, this surgeon's telling me that everything that I'm feeling, swelling in my esophagus, the throat, nasaliness, the chest pain, lung pain, is all from this air in there or whatever. And so I felt that from the weight cut, not even before the fight. I went into the fight with those feelings. And so to me, I think it's from the weight cut. It's honestly still unexplained a little bit. So we should probably, I got to talk to another doctor and get a second opinion, figure it out.
By the way, how did
But
they?
going forward, I won't have that bad a weight
Yeah,
cut, I think.
how did they find this out?
So they did like CAT scans and X-rays in my chest, and so actually in my head, because they were trying to make sure I didn't have any I was like, oh, my face was pretty swollen afterwards because you lumped me out pretty good, and they were like, we want to make sure you have no concussions, no brain bleed, nothing like that. And when they did the the neck X-ray, I guess they caught the air from I had it in my esophagus too. So they're like, all right, well, your X-ray's fine. You don't seem to have a concussion. You think you have a concussion? I'm like, no, I feel fine. They're like, all right, well, we think there's another issue. And then they're like, we want to X-ray the rest of your chest to see if this is what we think is right. And they did. And they're like, yeah, our findings are correct. You have air. It's like, oh, I don't know how. I guess air throughout my body and around my heart and around my lungs that's not supposed to be there, like on the outside of it.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think you won the fight?
You don't want the fight. I could have done better. That wasn't my best performance. But if we're talking about the rule set of MMA, honestly, whatever judge shows up that day, that's really what it is. So different judges showed up that day. If it was another week, it could have been easily unanimous or split my way. And so I'm not going to sit here and say like I thought I won. Like I think it's the best performance. I think that was the best performance I put out for what I was going through at the time and what I went through that week to be able to get there and make sure I showed up professional and did everything I needed to do. But I still think I won. I still think I won. I mean, if you look at the rule set of MMA, I won. Control time. Even though he pulled guillotine, that's not my problem. I mean, he made a mistake of doing that, and it played into my game. But in reality, yeah, I think I won. I understand how it could be his way. I would still fight him again in a heartbeat, and I believe with a full camp, I'm going to beat him. And so that's my mindset going in, and that's my mindset that I leave with it.
Which rounds do you think you won decisively?
I think the first round decisively. The second round I won because of the control time. I understand that the damage, the whole thing with damage,
Yeah.
but I was I think it was close to equal on the feet. I understand he landed. I landed too. And I think it was just a closer on the feet than it wasn't just like a mauling like it was the third round because I was just exhausted just letting him hit me, to be honest. And then I was like, honestly, he was hitting me and I'm like, I felt harder. I'm like, okay. In my head in the fight, I'm like, I felt harder. Okay, whatever. And then hit me one good hook where I was like, oh, I got to fucking smarten up because this ref's going to step in or something. I don't want to do that. So, but second round, I thought I won. Control time, even though I was attacking for submission, passing the side control. That's still control and that's still offensive. I understand the damage wasn't there. I should have done more damage. I was hitting his elbows to his body. That's not much. I get it. But control time, closeness on the feet, first and second, I think I won. Third round, I don't think it was 10-8 because I put him on his back for a little bit. 10-8 is a complete massacre. 10-8 I don't think it was a massacre. I think I was just tired, hands down, taking his hits. And then at one point I ended up on top of him. And then at the end of the fight, we were like in a 50-50 almost, but then he finished on top.
Right.
I don't think that's 10-8. That's 10-9, in my opinion.
In the early portion of the fight, first round, whatever, are you like, oh, damn, like, do you notice yourself thinking, I could beat this guy? I'm not just, and I know you said before the fight, like, you're not here to be a stepping stone and all that stuff, but did you feel like your confidence was growing as the fight went on and you're like, man, I could really beat this guy and shock everyone?
Yeah, I agree, man, 100%. I think, obviously, I got more confident as I got tired, which, so, yeah, I think that's really true because in the third round, I mean, I felt really comfortable, but I felt super exhausted. And it was just like, I have to survive here, basically. I don't believe he's going to finish me. I don't think he has the power to finish me, is what's going through my head. So I just have to make sure I do what I can to survive this round because the ref could step in off of just me letting him hit me thinking I'm fine. Like I'm like taking his punches thinking they're fine, but it just looks bad, So, but yeah, I mean, the confidence got better. Second round, I felt my best, but I was tired in the second round, man. Not gonna lie, I blew my load in the first. I was exhausted in the second, and the third was me holding on for dear life to make sure I can finish the fight. I was really exhausted there. That was probably the most tired I've been in a while in a fight. And probably since my original title fight back in CFFC with Cuts. I haven't been that exhausted in a while. So, I think I did pretty good for being complete exhaustion.
To that point, I saw a video of like after you walked out of the cage, you didn't walk to the back right away. Like you walked out of the cage and then you just sat down on a chair. You looked that tired. Like it was almost like you couldn't even. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you even remember this? Like you walked down, you just sat down.
Yeah.
That's how tired you looked.
Yeah, I know they wanted me to walk. I was exhausted, and I was like, I don't know. Part of me, I have this problem where like, if I lose, I don't want to leave the cage yet. I'm like, it's not over. Like, no, like so, like I don't know. Like I didn't want to leave. I left like even when they were like, trying to guide me out, I wanted to like walk over and shake his team's hand because I feel like I didn't even do that. I just ignored. I was like mad about the decision result. And then when I got out of the cage, I was kind of mad, like, damn, it's over. Just like get away, get out of here. You lost. I'm like, no. And I'm like not accepting it. But then I sat down. I was part exhaustion, part that. And then I was like, oh wait, I'm not supposed to be here. They got to shuffle me off the back as the next fight. So I'm like, all right, let me get up and get my shit together.
Yeah.
But it was cool. The back saying hi to him, and we talked and gave me props. His team gave me props. They said the same thing that he kind of seemed like he echoed in the cage, that they thought I won basically, but they also understand why they won. Same thing. I understand why he won. I thought I won. But regardless, it's water under the bridge. It doesn't mean anything at this point. I can talk about how I thought I won from now till next year. It's not going to change the future. So regardless, that's how I feel about the past. And I'm excited for the future, man. I'm excited to get a real opportunity, like a fight camp, a proper weight cut. I'd love to go jump in the top 15, which I don't think is going to happen. They're going to try and have to fight out my contract and everything. I get the system. But, I'm excited for the future for sure. I think that's just the sampling of what you guys got.
You will get another fight in the UFC, right?
I think I have a 4-fight deal.
Okay, cool. And it's got to feel good. I don't even know if you're a Twitter guy. I was looking if you were on Twitter. I couldn't find your page, to be honest. So I don't know if you're a Twitter guy. You're not. All right. Well, a lot of fighters went on Twitter after the fight and were giving you props, like vets, champs and whatnot. I don't know if you saw any of that, but you were getting a lot of love.
I did. I saw a good bit of it. Friends sent me it. Like all my peoples were like, yo, check this out. And I'm like, oh, it's dope. Like, I mean, I train with Usman, I train with Gaethje. I really appreciate them saying stuff, even though we already train with each other. It's still cool that they, mentioned that. And then I saw everything else everyone said, kind of for the most part, even the kind of not so great things. I saw Aljamain said. I met Aljamain. I know him from CFFC. We've hung out after fights before. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was definitely cool. Like it was dope to see like the sentiment that I believed and my team believed, like echoed throughout the MMA community. But like I said, it doesn't change nothing. Like it's still a loss on my record. It still burns. I still look at it, and I feel the same way that I feel about losing, even on the regional scene. Obviously, the bonus helps, makes a huge difference in any situation, But I definitely would rather have a win. If honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if you were like, "Yo, you get a win but no bonus," or you get the loss and a bonus, I take the win and no bonus. Okay,
I get that.
Because to me, that's a moral victory means more than money anytime, right. And so to know that I beat number 13 or 14, I forget what he is, but number 13 or 14 ranked fighter in the world that I already looked at as a highly respected fighter, and I already like looked at his style, like, damn, I like that dude. I like watching him fight. To go in there and test myself against him and to show that I have what it takes and almost beat him, and to know in my head, I truly I'm convinced in my head. I don't care. You could talk to me from now to tomorrow. I'm gonna say if I had a full camp, I'm beating this guy like 10 out of 10 times. That's what I believe. I truly believe that now, and so that's just my mindset now.
And dare I say, you're a very easy guy to root for. Your story is heartbreaking, and I'm very like when I read about it, it's hard to process. I know you lost both parents due to cancer. First your mom, right, and then your dad at a young age. And I understand in between the two, like you weren't exactly the best kid. You used to get into trouble and whatnot. First of all, how bad of a kid were you? Like how much trouble did you get into?
I wouldn't do drugs. I wasn't like big into drugs, but I would be like, we'd go steal shit from people's cars or outside their houses, ding dong ditch, like mess with people's stuff, get in fights, vandalize, I'd say not horrible. Could be better, could be worse, but also could be better.
Arrest?
But mainly I get arrested. Yeah, I got arrested a few times as a juvenile. I was on juvenile probation at one point. And then adult probation when I got in trouble. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think as I got older, it became like more about like just anger and like fist fights. And so I was like I was 265 pounds like at one point. I used to be fat boy. I always say this, no offense to DC, because I got love and respect for him. But when I'm done fighting, I'm gonna look like DC.
Were you upset because of your parents?
So the thing is, like, so my mom had breast cancer and my father had lung cancer. They had it twice throughout, and most of my like coherent childhood, like that I remember, was like them fighting cancer. My mom had it most of my childhood. She had beaten it. She had a mastectomy and then a double mastectomy, and then officially was in remission for about almost 2 years. Then almost 2 years later, then she had tested again, and then they found it came back. When it came back, it was like I came back like bad. It was again breast cancer, even though she had double mastectomy. Traveled to bone cancer, then bone marrow cancer, liver cancer, brain cancer. She had it throughout like her whole body, like completely, like basically level. Was a stage 4 for 4 years before she had passed.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, that definitely was a huge part of it. I was also a troubled kid, like not really. And you get it too. I think you'll understand this. Immigrant parents growing up in a different country that's different than how they grew up, and it's like I was a troubled kid. I wasn't like a good kid. Like I was a good kid, good-hearted, but I mean, I had ADD, ADHD, and I always find a reason to do something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And they were very hard-headed too. So like, I was always acting up, always being bad. I had trouble with relationship with my mom like most of my life growing up. And so like I think the fights happened because I was just angry. Like I got kicked out of school for this and that. I wasn't able to do wrestling and play football like I wanted to and do all the sports to be able to try and get a scholarship. My parents couldn't afford to send me to college. So it was like a financial aid thing I would sign up for. And it was just like a weird dynamic. And I was always kind of like bitter at myself for messing up my own path. And then they were mad at me too because of how I was acting. And so I'll get in street fights constantly. And then she passed away August 2nd of that summer, 2010. Or sorry, July 2nd of 2010. August 2nd, around that week, was when like a month later, basically, I got in that fight. Last street fight I got into my whole life was I got arrested for hurting a kid pretty bad. He had like a brain bleed and a fractured orbital. And, it was down like in Seattle City, New Jersey. We were like on the promenade area. It's like a boardwalk. So I got arrested from that, got in trouble. And that was when basically I had to like clean my life up, I ended up getting in real trouble, like probation, almost jail time. They're trying to send me to jail for it. And avoided jail time, ended up with probation. And then my father, at the time when I'm trying to clean my life up, tells me that his lung cancer came back. And, that was another boost of motivation to be like, I have to make sure that I'm going to be something for my parents. I'm not going to be a failure, getting in trouble, getting arrested, working a dead end job, doing nothing. Like I want to make sure that I achieve a high goal that I believe I can achieve. But I always wanted to be a pro athlete. And so I always was a fan of UFC MMA. I never really believed I could be a fighter. It was more like, oh, those guys are born like that. So I'm talking like Spike TV days.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just made the decision. Like my cousins were blue belts at the time. They were training at Balance Studios under Ricardo Miglarice and Phil Miglarice. And just gonna mess my. Sorry.
No problem.
Knocked over my ring. There we go. So they were training at the time, and I wanted to get involved. They brought me in. I started training, and I never really turned around. I dropped out of college. I was going to do community college. I just focused on fighting at 18 from when I got in trouble. My dad, before he passed, he got to see me fight at least one time, one amateur fight. I came in, I finished the guy in like, I think a minute. It was awesome. It was definitely like a cool, he gave me approval in a way, like cried and saw I was good at something that I actually chose to do. And I wasn't going to be like a failure, getting in trouble and staying on that path.
When you have moments like this, when you have moments like last weekend, is it tough to not have them around?
It's really tough, man. I mean, even the times like leading up to it, I think everyone, they realize they have like their own times where they kind of like things remind you of them. They're like, even times when you're alone and it's like you have dark times. A lot of times you can have your parents. You can always call them. You can always reach out to them. You can always like speak to them and get an opinion. Get that love that that's out there. And so like, yeah, it sucks, man. A lot of times I do wish I had that. Like I have close family. I have aunts and uncles. Like Middle Eastern family. We have like my mom was one of 11 and my dad was one of 9. And so I have big extended family and like they're like brothers and sisters and like my aunts are like my second parents. And so I can always talk to them. But it's like it's definitely something I think about. I think daily. I mean, honestly, I have I wear my mom's wristband. I have them tattooed on my body. I think about them every single time I wake up. Every time I go to training. Every time I do something. Like my reasoning on why I do what I do and why I push so hard is because like I know how hard they pushed. My mom was doing radiation and chemotherapy at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning. And then we grew up in the pizza business. So they were going to the pizza shop and she was working a 12-hour shift right after all that. If she had to throw up, she'd go throw up, come back to work. It was just like, that's kind of the mentality I was raised around. Like mom and dad, always, no matter what, feeling like crap, sick, dying, like going to show up and work a 12-hour shift at the pizza shop. And so like, I don't have room to slack off. I can't, like I know that I know what the true feeling of like not giving up until you can't do anymore really feels like, especially like pushing in the cage and it's like just pushing in life, man. I've been pushing for this for 13 years and I'm finally here. And it's like, you know, that was nothing. I'm still ready to push more. Still have more in me. And so, yeah, it definitely is something I think about every day. I think about them. I think about like being able to talk to them, being able to make them proud. I wish obviously I could see what I've done now and like what I'm doing, but I know they'd be proud of me. I know like my family's proud of me. My brother's proud of me. I know like I still have a lot more to achieve, and they would be proud for sure.
Oh man, I would like to think that when people pass, they are somewhere, and if they are somewhere, I'm sure they are proud. How could they not be proud of what you've done and everything you've done to get to this point? Congratulations on a great debut. I know you wanted the win, but like I said, after a performance like that, everyone knows who you are, everyone respects you, and now we all want to see you come back with a full training camp, and I look forward to that. Bassil, all the best to you. Congrats. Thanks for coming on, and good luck as you begin this UFC journey.
Oh yeah, appreciate you having me, Ariel. Man, this is a dream come true being on here. I watch your show all the time, so I'm a huge fan, and it's super dope, man. Thank you for having me
Thank
on
you.
here.
Salam alaikum, my brother.
Like Masalam.
There he is, Bassil Hafez, the Habibi. Great story, and someone to look out for, and someone that has earned the respect, I think, like I said, of the MMA community.